Welcome to the Push Slap F1. Today we're going to be answering the question of why are Topps F1 2020 cards so expensive? It's not the biggest set, it doesn't have the most popular drivers even, but still, as you can see with this card here, it is an absolutely expensive set. So, a little bit of background before we get started. When I started getting into the card hobby, went to a card show looking to trade some of my Pokemon stuff off for F1, and I stumbled across this exact card, a 2020 Max Verstappen out of 399, but in a PSA 8 with a sticker of about $300. And at the time, I just thought that was astronomical, especially for a card that was not low numbered, not a PSA 10, uh, kind of just a basic looking card. And as I dug into it, I actually saw that it was pretty rare, really low population, and I ended up trading a bunch of cards toward it and owned the card. And that's kind of what got me hooked on the Topps F1 market, but also the Topps F1 2020. If you ask any F1 collector what the best set is, they're going to automatically say Topps F1 Chrome or Sapphire 2020. So why is that? So today we're going to look into a few different reasons for why that is, kind of educate you on some of the cards that are really expensive, and hopefully get you into the F1 card hobby. It's a really niche market. It's a really interesting one, but there are some really huge cards in this set. Uh, why does this matter? Well, if we'll take a look right here, this is a list of the top 5 most expensive F1 cards ever sold. And every single one of these on this list is a 2020 card. You have a Lewis Hamilton Superfractor autograph, Lewis Hamilton Superfractor from 2020, Lewis Hamilton Pad 1 of 1, Max Verstappen Superfractor autograph from 2020, and a Max Verstappen Pad from 2020 as well. Every single one of the most expensive F1 cards that is out there is from the 2020 either Sapphire or Chrome. It's a great market to get into, a lot of expensive cards. So, why is that? The number one reason is supply. All right, similar with Pokemon cards, the earlier sets really do draw a lot more money for a few different reasons. Number one, it was printed significantly less. 2020, we don't have the exact figures on how much was printed, but significantly less than 21, 22, definitely 23, and even obviously now, 2025. There weren't a lot of cards printed at that time. There wasn't a huge market for it because this was the first modern F1 set. F1 has had cards historically in the past with other companies that were smaller, such as or Futuro, some other things like that. But this was the first time that Topps actually made F1 cards. The supply was low for the first print run. There wasn't a market at that point because there was no product, and so they, I guess, played it safe on the production numbers to see what the market would turn into, and so a lot of this product got locked down. People bought boxes, sat on the sealed product, pulled really big cards early on and sat on them, and as the years went on, the draw for those cards got bigger and bigger. This is essentially because, with these Lewis Hamiltons and Max Verstappens, these are rookie cards. They don't have the rookie card stamp, but it is the first on print for Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen on a Topps card. And if you're not familiar even with the sports card hobby, Topps is the giant of sports cards. It is the go-to. And so for Topps to come out with an F1 set, and this to be the first one, it really makes it a huge set. And I don't think people appreciated it at the time for what it was. So there's definitely some uncertainty. It's definitely a lower print run. And today the hobby has exploded. And with that, it's brought in new people like myself who wasn't around in the hobby when 2020 came out, who now go back to the set and want to get their hands on some of these numbered cards. All right. The second thing is quality control. 2020 cards are notorious for having bad quality control. Similar to English Pokemon cards and Japanese Pokemon cards, Japanese normally have higher quality, so the PSA 10s go for less money than the lower quality English cards. It seems really backwards, but it's because there's less of a PSA 10 in a 2020 set than there is in, say, a 24 or a 25. That's why the Max Verstappen that I bought in a PSA 8 was $300. If you start looking at raw 2020 cards, especially the numbered parallels, they're normally always going to have what they call clipping. It's a little indentation somewhere along the edges where it's been like clipped by some machine and it instantly knocks the grade down to a 7 or an 8. There's still a huge market for these cards, but that makes the 10s, even if it's a base card, refractor, especially something that's numbered, those cards are astronomical. Um, they go for crazy amounts. Like this 399 we looked at a second ago, $4,000 for a Max Verstappen PSA 10, and there's 399 of them. But of those, there's only a total population of 27 in a PSA 10. So you've got low population already of the print run, and then a lower population because of the quality control. And so it's really, really hard to find these cards in like a PSA 10, especially in the numbered cards. All right. Uh, the next big thing that drives the price of these cards up so much is the design. So, in the same way, if you're into Pokemon or even other sports cards, some vintage cards just hold their value really, really well. So, if you look at these cards, and we'll swap over to something a little bit different here. Let's take a look back at this Max Verstappen. Uh, it's a really pretty card. There's not a lot going on. It's really simple. It's attractive to the eye. The portrait is a little bit further back where you can see like 3/4 of their body, and he's in his race suit. It's just a really attractive card to look at. There's not a lot going on, similar to like the 2026 F1 cards where you've got lines going all over the place. It's just really straightforward, really timeless design, and it's continued to be popular. I think along with that, you've got some of your favorite drivers, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, in their original teams. Max is still at Red Bull, Charles is still at Ferrari, but you've got Lewis in his Mercedes suit, you've got like Valtteri in his Mercedes suit, you've even got like Daniel Ricciardo in this set, and so it's a really timeless set. I wouldn't call it vintage, but it's definitely something that you look back at and you kind of see, an era that's past. All right. The fourth and probably the most important is popularity. Right. Popularity for F1 since 2020 has just exploded. I think I looked today that the 2026 Silverstone GP had 18 million people watching, which is way more than it's had in the past, right? F1 teams have went from being evaluated at, a couple $100 million, which is a lot, to there's not a single team on the grid that's not worth uh, at least $1 billion. Even Haas is worth almost 1.5 or 2 billion, and so the sport has just exploded. And so with that, it's driven people naturally into the kart hobby, like myself. And not only that, but 2020 was such a weird year for F1 with COVID. Lower viewership, less races, less exposure. The explosion and the trend really didn't take off until 22, 21, with the title fight that went on there. And so this set predated a lot of these big events that led to an explosion in F1, but also an explosion in the hobby. And so a lot of that is just the popularity. You look at modern sets, and there are a lot of expensive cards from those sets. But if we look back on them with Oscar Piastri rookie cards, Kimi Antonelli rookie cards are really expensive. In 5 to 10 years' time, depending on how things pan out, those cards are going to go for a lot more. For example, Max Verstappen, 2020, had no world championships. Since then, he's won four. He's cemented his legacy a little bit more. He means a lot more to the sport than he did in 2020. Therefore, his cards are going to be worth significantly more. And so trying to buy into a market where the supply is already limited means that people are going to pay a lot more money for him. Same with Lewis Hamilton, biggest name in the sport probably ever. Um, since 2020, he won one championship in 2020. He's grown in popularity, moved to Ferrari. His cards are the same way. They keep going up. 2020 is a set that is not going to depreciate. If you have the cards, you're going to want to sit on them. A lot of people don't want to sell them. If you hop on eBay and try to find them, there are a lot out there, but nowhere near as many as some of your other sets. Those are the four main reasons for the price. But if you're looking to get into the hobby, a couple of things to understand about these 2020 cards. The first thing is the portraits are by far the most expensive. A portrait is just this card right here. It's a picture of just them in their suit. It is like their, I always call it like their school book photo. You know, it's them. It's not a picture of them in the car. It's not a picture of them in their helmet. It's not an event. It's just their card. This is their quintessential card. And so this drives those prices up. If you're looking for like a crown jewel card for your collection, no matter who you collect, and they have a 2020 portrait, that is one of, if not the crown jewel, is to get a 2020 portrait of that driver. It is the quintessential card, and it makes the prices for these cards really, really expensive, especially in PSA 10s. You can buy PSA 10s for Max, Lewis, Lando, some of these other drivers, not even numbered, for anywhere from $100 to $500. So they're accessible, but they're definitely expensive, especially if you compare a base portrait of Max, in this current set, you can buy it for $1, whereas a portrait of Max in 2020, even in a base card, is going to run you $100 plus. It's just low print run, really desirable, really clean. You definitely want the portrait. For example, Max's cards from 2020 that aren't this card that we're looking at on screen, you can get them for 20, 30, 40, $50 numbered. It's just a picture of him in the car or in his helmet or, driver of the day or whatever it may be. Those cards are still really accessible. This card, a little bit more expensive. All right. The next thing is image variations. Image variations bring a lot of money. All an image variation is exactly what it sounds like. It would be a different picture than what is on the base card. So I've got an image variation of Lando Norris pulled up. So instead of him standing up like Max was in that pass card, he's sitting down, hand on his knee, helmet in his hand. These cards also are even more rare than just the portrait. And so it's like another level. Not only do you have the portrait, not only is it a PSA 10, but it's an image variation. It's him sitting down. Uh, there's a lot. Every driver has an image variation, to my knowledge. You've got Lewis Hamilton's image variations go for a lot of money. Max Verstappen's image variations go for a lot of money. Any 2020 image variation is super, super popular and very, very expensive. So if you're looking for something neat, perfect card here. This is a Sapphire base, but it's the image variation. It's a PSA 10 and only for $475, which seems like a lot, but if you look at Max's card we just looked at, that's a $4,000 card. And so if you're looking to get into the hobby, Lando Norris, rookie in 2020, PSA 10, really, really nice card here to look at. Uh, the other thing is you can get PSA 10s of, like I said earlier, just other cards that aren't the portraits. I highly recommend, if you're wanting to get into the hobby, you like the way the 2020 cards look, don't necessarily, if you don't have the money to spend, which, is totally understandable, you can get into this hobby on a budget. You can buy these car cards or you can buy these driver of the day cards, and they're not too expensive. You can still get them in a high grade if grading matters, or like me, you can put them in your binder as a binder copy. They're beautiful looking cards, super clean. Highly recommend it. All right. The other one is manufacturer crests. So let me pull up this manufacturer crest from Red Bull. This one is not a PSA 10, but it is a PSA 9, and all it is it's just a card for the manufacturer's logo. Every manufacturer had one. They're really popular, especially the numbered versions, especially the PSA 10s. Really hard to come by. If you're a fan of a team, more so than you are of a driver, these are great cards to pick up. These actually are fairly reasonable. This one on screen, PSA 9, $150. It is the refractor, but it's not numbered. Beautiful card. It has the Aston Martin on it, which is really neat from when Red Bull still paired with Aston Martin Racing. It's just a really, really neat card. The last thing to know about 2020 is there are rookie cards in the set. And the most notable, like we looked at a second ago, is Lando Norris. I think that the Lando Norris market for 2020 is super underrated. He's a one-time world champion. He won last year, multiple-time race winner. His cards are still nowhere near Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton or even Charles Leclerc of this set. It's a rookie card. It's a world champion. I think that the market is slept on, especially if Lando becomes a multiple-time world champion. I know that he may be not the most popular driver in the sport. You could see that card market really go skyward. And I think as sports cards in general grow, not just F1, more eyes will be on the markets, more eyes will be on F1, and you're immediately drawn to 2020, which is the first set that came out. So if you're looking to get into the card hobby, I would highly recommend looking into Topps F1 2020, Chrome, Sapphire. If you've got big money to play with, Dynasty, you got your patches, your autos. Really awesome cards from this set. The F1 hobby is really, really neat. And I think that with, Lewis Hamilton opening up card shops, things like that, it'll just be a really, really cool hobby to get into at the ground floor. 2020 was not that long ago. We've only had 6 years of product being made. It's a great time to jump into this hobby. It's not oversaturated. Maybe you're fed up with Pokemon or other sports just being so oversaturated, the market just being flooded with cards. This is a great, great hobby to get into. So, 2020, really expensive. Is it worth it? I think yeah. I don't think that the cards are overpriced, and I think in some aspects they're underpriced. So if you're looking to get into it, this is a great one. So this has been the Push Lap. Just wanted to jump on here, go over this Topps F1 2020, and hopefully shine some light on the F1 card hobby. So, peace.